Well, my first reaction was, oh my gosh, that's Texas again for you, because this has been happening more frequently since Tiger King. And it really did make me wonder if people were spending their stimulus package checks on tigers, because I didn't used to see this as often as what I'm seeing it now.
I'm assuming you saw how I guess, man who was with the tiger, straddled the tiger, ran out. Did it seem to you that he had experience around tigers?
What was clear to me, it was not clear at first when I saw the video, because there was nothing to give me an idea of how big this tiger was. Once he straddled the tiger, I realized this is probably only about a 6-month-old cat. They grow so quickly. By the time they're a year old, they can be 200 pounds. And by the time they're 5 years old, when they're full grown, they can be 700 pounds. So this cat was probably only, I don't know, maybe 100, 150 pounds. And yet, it shows you how quickly they grow. So that's why he was able to manhandle the cat back into the house. It's still just a kitten in its mind.
The attorney for this man says that this is not his cat, it's not his tiger. But the way he was acting around the cat, what do you think?
I think he definitely believed that he had a relationship with that cat that would allow him to do that and not be killed. You know who really surprised me in that video clip was the officer who had the gun drawn on the cat. He showed so much restraint, because I think most people would have just fired every bullet they had when that cat started coming toward them. And instead he moved back, and he was, forceful in his voice to the cat, which is the way you should deal with a loose tiger. You should never run. You would be dead if you were running and screaming from the tiger, because that just triggers everything in them to kill.
How can this tiger be found and caught safely?
Yeah, there's no way to hide a tiger. People are going to hear it. They're very loud. Their roars can carry for 5 miles. So people in the neighborhood are going to know if that cat's there, if they know what a tiger sounds like. And all of the people around that guy, the people where the house was that he took the cat into, I am sure that those people know where the cat is, or know somebody who knows where the cat is, because this is a very small community of mostly people like this person who's running from the law and, out on bond for an attempt for alleged murder. This is the kind of people who are buying and selling big cats, people who think that they are above the law. I feel so bad for this cat, because you could really tell in the way that it was like slinking along, and it was really feeling so exposed out there and not knowing what to do in that environment. It's probably never been free in its entire life. And it was taking it slowly. It was trying to assess what's going on around me. Where am I safe to go? And this poor cat is not safe in the hands of the kinds of people that are buying and selling them.
Were you surprised that the cat was just sitting in the grass at first?
It's probably the first time this cat has had any opportunity to lay in the grass. People keep them in tiny little barren enclosures that they can easily spray the urine and feces out of. So they hardly ever get to touch grass. And I would imagine that cat was relishing the feel of that under his paws and belly.
For it to be just standing, or rather sitting in the lawn, I mean, it could have been roaming, it could have been running in the streets, but it was just nicely sitting there.
I think the cat had recently escaped. Probably what they did was turned it loose in the backyard, thinking the fence would be enough to keep the cat in, which is crazy. But it just shows you the mentality of the kind of people in possession of these animals. And the fact that it wasn't running around yet is because the cat wasn't comfortable with the environment. You could tell from the look on the cat's face. What most cats would do is hunker down in the bushes until dark, and then they have the hunting advantage, and then people are really at risk. And so a cat like that, I mean, that cat could literally roam hundreds of square miles. And we've seen cats in the past that have been released or escaped that have moved so far from where they originally were escaping from, because they walk like nobody's business.
We haven't been inside the house. We've, seen the backyard. But what do you think it looks like, maybe the inside of the house, knowing that that cat was inside?
I used to laugh out loud when I would see pictures of Siegfried and Roy trying to show that they had cats living in their mansion. It's like, that was so photoshopped, because even a bobcat, a 20-pound cat in a house, there's not going to be a thing left standing in the house. There's not going to be a couch that doesn't have the stuffing pulled out of it. There's not going to be drapes on the walls. There's not going to be any of that stuff with a big cat in the house.
If someone came into contact with the cat, fortunately, No one got hurt this time. There was a birthday party going on nearby, kids around outside. If someone does see this cat, what should they do?
If they can, they should get someplace safe, like inside a car, inside a home. Try to keep eyes on the cat. If you know your neighbors, contact them so that they're looking for the cat, and then call the authorities. And the authorities will usually know who the local people are, either at the zoo or sanctuaries that could come out and sedate the cat. But if you find yourself face to face with any big cat, a lion, a tiger, a cougar, a native cougar, or a bobcat, the first thing you should do is make yourself just as big as you possibly can and actually go toward the cat screaming and yelling. And usually they're so taken by, like, oh my gosh, what is that they'll run in the other direction.
If you had a message, for the people behind this, what would it be?
For the people behind this, I mean, they don't want any message from me because they clearly are doing things to benefit themselves and don't care what anybody else thinks. But my message to the public would be never pay to see a cub on display or to pet one. Never give props to somebody who's posting a picture like that on any of the social channels, because that's what's driving this kind of abuse. This is the problem that we have in the United States is every state has different laws, and in Texas, they have left it up to the individual counties. So nobody is coming up with good rules or good laws as far as that goes. We have a federal bill pending right now that will phase out private possession, and it'll end cub petting. And I would be willing to bet that that tiger that was running loose just a few months ago was at one of these places that you saw in Tiger King, where people were paying to have their picture made with a cute little cub. And when they get to be about 16 weeks old, they can't be used any longer. And so they're discarded into private owners. And so our federal bill would finally put an end to that, and people wouldn't be able to keep hopping across state lines to evade the law.
I've got to ask, obviously Joe Exotic, he's in jail right now, and y'all have been going back and forth with, hey, I'll help you get out if you support the Big Cat Safety Act. And he's recently said, okay, I'll accept the help. How do you feel about that?
Well, he said, I'll accept the help, but the bill has to be rewritten so that it doesn't ban cub petting and doesn't phase out private possession. That's the only two things the bill does. So he didn't accept our offer.
So you're not believing that he really means that he's going to help?
I mean, he can still do it. That'd be great if he did.
So you're very satisfied where he is right now?